Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's time for another swatch of my top 10 favorites from specific brands. I believe the last one I did, well, it was a while ago because I kind of fell off the face of the earth, but I'm pretty sure it was Daniel Smith. So today we are going to do my top 10 favorite Schmincke. So this is going to be really fun. It's actually really hard to narrow down your colors to just 10. Honestly, Schmincke has always been one of my favorite brands. Roman Schmal is by far my top, but Schmincke is probably second, if I'm being completely honest. So it was really hard to narrow it down to 10, but I did it painfully. Now, there's reasons I like these colors, whether it's just the granulation, the color itself, playing around with it. You may notice the color palette too when I zoom out and show you, but I am a watercolor floral artist, so you really shouldn't be shocked by some of these choices. Now, this is just my favorite colors. This is not by any means what you should use to create a palette, though you can. I would add some other things because this is not a complete palette set. So let's get going and quit talking. Okay, first we have Glacier Blue, and this is one of my favorites because of the granulation that comes with this one. I loved all of their super granulating sets, but this one was just, it was just too much. It was beautiful. So it was definitely one of my personal favorites. And again, keep that in mind. These are my personal favorites. Next is quinacridone Magenta. I'm a sucker for all the quinacridones out there. Now I am swatching wet on dry, but that's because that's how I paint. But gosh, that color, every time I see it, I fall in love with it again. Now some of these are on my Etsy store, so if you want to get like dot cards of them, you can, but not all of them. So just keep that in mind. The dot cards, if you're curious, do I have one nearby? Are basically these little guys. We call them fat dots, but it's more than a quarter pan, and when I'm lazy, you get almost a half pan, but they come like this. So some of these will be in there, some won't, just because some of these are in half pans and I didn't buy them in tubes. Okay, so next we have quinacridone Purple. This color, every time I swatch it, I practically drool. The vibrancy of it, it's PV55, but I'm in love with it. I've never found myself disappointed, and I almost get giddy swatching that one. Okay, next we have May Green, PY151, PG7. It's just a really bright, beautiful green. Okay, next we have the Magnese Violet, another favorite of mine, PV16. I purposely go out of the lines, just shows the transparency when everything dries up. And I will be drying these so you can see them at their full glory. Okay, next we have Olive Green, PB15. Oh my gosh, look at that color. PG8. Again, this is one of those ones, the first time I swatched it, it was so stunning. I could not take my eyes off of it. There's some colors you swatch and you're like, oh, that's the one. Okay, up next, Indigo, PB15. Oh, I love it. PB66. I love it. It's a beautiful color. It has some granulation to it as well. You don't get as much of the fun with granulating colors if you tend to paint wet on dry, but you can still get some, so don't think you're never going to experience the glory of it. Okay, I am a sucker for olive greens, and this is olive green yellowish, PO62, PG36. It's just, I love the olivey greens for my leaves, but also this one actually mixes and makes a really fun combo with May Green, just so you're aware. But yeah, it is one of my favorites. Okay, now we have our Schmincke Violet. This is another one where Look how vibrant that is. It's PV23. It is just a glorious color. Last but certainly not least, Helio Turquoise. Yep, this is why I love this color. Oh my gosh. It just had me at hello. That cheesy saying you get in romance novels and movies. I would know, I'm a romance writer. Fun fact if you didn't know that. I do not go by my real name though, so you'll have to hunt me down in the romance section under my pen name. But yes, beautiful. So let me dry these, we'll zoom out, and then I can tell you everything or why I love them and go from there. Okay, so we're all dry. Let's talk about why I love these colors. Well, as you can see, they're pretty much a palette you would expect from someone who does watercolor florals, but it's not the only reason. You know, as I was swatching them, like I said, just the vibrancy of some of the colors and just the way they move, it's like magic when you see them come to life. May Green, I've always really enjoyed from Schmincke. It's always been very consistent. I like to mix it with other colors, and it's really bright and beautiful, but also it does really good with layering. I love to layer it with my olive green here. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Sometimes my favorites are favorites because they just perform nicely together. But then I also have my olive green yellowish, and I'm a sucker for olivey yellowish greens. I don't know why, but I like them all year, year round, even though in the fall they tend to come out more. But, between green golds and olive greens, I'm always a sucker, and there's always going to be one in every brand that I'm just like, oh. I mean, Roman Schmall, I think there are 2 olive greens. They have dark and light, and I love them both. Now, I'm a sucker for all quinacridones. Don't know why, but I am drawn to them. But their quinacridone purple is just so luscious. I really, really like it. Now, I know you're thinking, gosh, you have a lot of favorites that are purple. Like I said, this is just my favorites. Would I put these all on the same palette? Well, maybe, actually. But I would add other colors as well. Purple is a convenience color. Most people will mix it themselves. I do not. Now, as you can see, like if you're comparing them, because you have the 3 purples here, manganese violet, they're all PVs, but they do have differences. Maybe subtle, but manganese violet has granulation, for one, and it's just a little bit lighter. Now, this purple over here is more blue and cool leaning, whereas this one's warmer. So, it's nice when you're creating a palette, you should have a warm and a cool for everything, especially at least you're mixing colors. You should have a cool and a warm for mixing colors. But for me, I could easily layer all of these and you wouldn't notice. They wouldn't blend in, especially as they continue to get watered down. My swatches are a little more concentrated because I went wet on dry. But if I were to keep dipping my brush and watering them down, they would definitely look different than that. Quinacridone magenta, again, quinacridones draw me in, but it's not that I love it just because of the name. I love the color itself. The indigo from Schmincke, excuse me, has always been a favorite of mine. It's a really nice, bold, balanced indigo. Now, Helio Turquoise, some people are like, why would you have a turquoise in your palette? Which I do. I always have turquoises in my palette. These actually blend really well and make some fun colors. So instead of grabbing like a blue and a yellow, try a turquoise and a yellow and see what you can make. They're really fun to play around with. Helio Turquoise is a gorgeous color. I love using it. And then, of course, Glacier Blue. I absolutely love the granulation with this color. It's a very pretty one. It is from their limited edition granulating colors. Obviously, it's from the Glacier set, but I have a big old fat tube because I loved it so much. But yeah, I do still get the granulation even when I do wet on dry, so that's one thing I really like about it. I used to be very into granulating colors. I've slowly kind of trailed off over the years, I do like some granulation, but I'm not always going for the super granulating anymore, if that makes sense. But yeah, these are my top 10 Schmincke faves. I know there's not like a yellow or anything in here. And in fact, I'm trying to see, because I know I did my one. I totally just smacked the camera. I know I did one for Daniel Smith. I don't think I did one for Roman Schmal yet. Is this it? I think this is my 10 favorite Daniel Smith. No, this is something else. I'll have to find it. I know I did like a 10 favorites already. I'm gonna have to go back and see what brand it was. I still need to swatch all the the ones from EMJ's subscription box. I still haven't gotten to that. Yeah, I don't know where it is. So, but I know I've done a top 10 with other brands. I swear it was Daniel Smith. But these are my top 10 for Schmincke. Granted, I love a lot of their colors. If I were to make a full-out Schmincke palette, I would obviously add some yellows or some reds, probably a toss in an orange, and then of course I would add in like a Payne's gray and then a few more pinks because I am lazy. But overall, these are just my favorite. By no means would this be a palette, and yeah, I'd love to know what your favorite Schmincke colors are. Share them in the comments below. And then, like I said, a few of these are available in tubes, so if you want to grab a fat dot on my Etsy, that's linked as well below. And I'm hoping next week I will have all the sap greens in. I had a bunch of sap greens from the last time we did the smaller comparison. This, however, is the bigger one. But Blick and Jerry's are taking their sweet time, and it's quite defeating because Jackson's has already arrived, and I placed the order for Jackson's 3 days after the US suppliers. And it's here, all my sap greens from Jackson's. So now I'm just like twiddling my thumbs. So I'm hoping they come this week, and then that way I can do the sap green comparison because I believe it's going to be like 25 brands. So keep an eye out for that. I am going to also start doing some more beginner painting tutorials, but I kind of wanted to get through this series of my top 10 between all the brands, especially because I have so many brands. And then I do have a few new palettes that I wanted to swatch out for you guys, and I'll show you. And then I'm currently putting together my summer palette. So once I finish putting my summer palette together, I'll definitely show you guys that and go from there. So lots of fun projects, but leave in the comments below what you want to see. Do you want to see more painting tutorials, you know, basics, or like a full-on paint-along? Do you enjoy the top 10s and the brand comparisons? It always helps me so I can plan it out because I try to post once a week. In the past, I failed that, but I'm back on schedule, so definitely let me know. And until next time, take care. Bye now.